Welcome everybody to episode 2 of season 3 of Rider Real Time here on the Rider University Network. I'm your host Nick Barbatti and the strongman here, and we're coming to you live for the first time ever from Midnight Madness on location. I will be back here with Karen Torsha, a woman who not only got her hair done for today, but got a brand new outfit too. We'll see you in a bit.
So slow it down, you move a little too fast. You take a deep breath, you make this last. And you should be the best days of your life.
We are back here with Karen Torsha, the Associate Director of Athletics and the Senior Women's Administrator here at Rider. Karen, this is your second time on Real Time. Welcome back.
Thank you. I have to tell you, I couldn't sleep last night because I was so excited, one, about Magnus, but more excited about being live here on Real Time again for the second year in a row.
Well, two quick things. Firstly, we spent all last night here setting up with the emerging leaders this decorations here for this year's Circus Team Magnus. But the second thing is the first time you were on Real Time, it was, without question, the episode I had the most hits on, the views, and also the most comments on. You are, as I like to term, the most downloaded woman at Rider based on Rider Real Time.
Wow.
That's a compliment.
In some ways, yes, at least it was downloaded for Real Time and not something else. But I think all those hits were my family, probably. All my family and friends, because I kept posting it on Facebook saying, hey, please check this out.
Yeah.
I need Nick to win his Telly Award.
Well, what has happened since we last met was we did, in fact, win the Telly
Yes.
Award. It was an amazing achievement. Maybe we'll win another one or eventually. I think, I got an email the other day talking about there's the people who make the Emmy Awards are actually doing a college award now. So who knows? Maybe we'll have Emmys on our desk one day.
This episode might get it. If
I
it doesn't
think
get an
so.
Emmy, it's going to get you your silver Telly. That's my goal. That next year when I'm on Real Time, is that supposed to be bronze or what is that?
It's bronze.
Bronze. That
Also
there's a
called a doorstop, basically,
Oh.
by someone.
well then that there's a silver Telly sitting on this table with us.
All right, very good. Well, actually, if there's anything that's going to win us the Silver Telly, it's the fact that we're at the largest event of the school year here. We are coming to you again live from Midnight Madness. And Karen, you've been here for many Midnight Madness in the past, but what does this year's mean to you? What does this feel like, this theme of this under the big top?
I mean, it's, this is the first time we've done a circus theme, and my aversion to clowns, so it took a little convincing for me to want to do a circus theme, but I'm just amazed at what the groups that have worked on this, from the emerging leaders who were here with us last night setting up the decorations
Yeah.
we have in here, to SGA and the Greeks and SEC and Campus Life and everybody that's coming together to pull this off. And I know that our teams just really, really appreciate all the hard work and the effort.
Yep. We took a year off from Midnight Madness last year, obviously, because of the damage to the floor in the alumni gym. We turned it into Cranberry and White Night, which we're going to talk about maybe a little bit later today. So Midnight Madness is back. It's better than ever. The schedule of events looks great. Pre-Madness starts at 8 o'clock tonight, and it's going to go all the way through towards upwards of midnight. Midnight Madness, though, the importance for the athletics. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the theme of the day and the decorations. What does a day like today mean to the basketball teams?
Well, it's obviously the first day that they can practice. The men could start practicing as of 5 o'clock today. The women, they changed the rules a little bit this year to the women started practice a week ago.
Sure.
But for them, it signals the start of the college basketball season,
Yeah.
essentially, and this is their time to really work hard. And with Rider not having a football team, it is one of our more popular sports on campus. With the crowds and things, and I think it's a chance for everybody to come together, show their school spirit, show their school pride, and it makes both of our men's and our women's teams feel really great that people on this campus are excited about what the product is that they're going to put on the court this year.
Absolutely. I mean, it starts the season off right, and I think everyone, when they leave here, not only because we do the grand entrances where the screen's set up where you can put the names to the faces of some of the players, I think it's an awesome way to start the year. From an emerging leader standpoint, though, as you said, we were here last night with those guys, and you can see the gossamer hanging behind me. I think they're so sick of hearing me say that word because it actually took hours to set up. And
That's
I think,
a Cassie Iacobelli word.
Is it?
And Carson.
Oh,
I never
okay.
knew what gossamer or
yes,
any of these things
saran
were.
wrap.
Whatever it is, before those two.
Last night we spent hours touching cardboard, saran wrap, gossamer, and glue sticks and X-Acto knives and everything. But those guys worked really, really hard, and I think it's going to look great. So I think sometimes when the rest of the campus comes in to see the entrance, they just assume these kits kind of come pre-packaged, but these kids were up making these cutouts and everything, so they did a really great job last night.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned the importance of this event to Rider basketball. What is the status of Rider basketball going into this season? What are your thoughts, and what are some things to look out for this year?
Well, we have a lot of new players on both teams. As you know, Ryan Thompson graduated last year, one of our top leading scorers on the men's team, and he now is playing with the Utah Jazz. So that's great.
awesome.
But we've got some veteran guys coming back with Justin Robinson and Mike Ringgold, and they're always exciting to watch them. And then of course there's a lot of new guys on the men's team. I think we'll see one of our new guys tonight do pretty well in the slam dunk contest.
Oh, yeah?
So keep an eye out for Danny Stewart for that.
Okay.
And on the women's side, they've got a lot of new faces too. And in their week of practice already, I can see just such an intensity and determination to really do well this year. A lot of new players. We are happy to have Alyssa Parsons back. She's one of our captains. She had to sit out last year.
Oh,
She
okay.
tore her ACL and was devastated, but she's a real natural leader on the court. So
Oh, great.
it's good to have her back as our point guard, and
Yeah.
I think we'll see some great things out of them as well.
Yeah, I saw some of the guys come in and out of here last night when we were setting up, and they looked really pumped and ready to go, ready for the season. So there's a great pack of guys and gals, and then I think they're going to do awesome this year. But sticking to Midnight Madness, you have provided me with some of the old flyers from Midnight Madness past and present, and the most recent present. But most of these are all the years that actually you and I have spent together.
Yep.
So I was hoping we could spend some time going through some of these and both giving our reactions. Let's start off with, I think, what you and I identify as both of our favorite Midnight Madness.
Absolutely.
I'll show you, and then I'll show the camera.
Yes.
The Fright Night. And this was from 2006. And this one is especially important to me because actually this is from when I was a student, my senior year, and I was nominated for Cranberry King that year. So I was actually part of the Madness festivities. What was so special about that one?
I just loved this one from the design that Mike Scott did.
Yeah.
And Mike Scott used to be one of our graphic designers here, now works for the New York Jets. And I went to him and I said, Mike, it's Friday the 13th. We're doing a Fright Night. Can you draw me the Bronx with like
Sure.
a Scream mask or something? And like when he came up with this product, I couldn't even believe it. It's still to this day my favorite Mike Scott creation.
I agree.
And I absolutely loved it. And then the emerging leaders that did the haunted house down in our Hall of Fame
Yeah.
area was absolutely amazing. I mean, there were so many creative minds that just came together, and
Sure.
the end product that night was amazing. And all of the the students coming through that were,
Yeah.
they got up to the doors to Alumni Gym and they were scared out of their mind.
Sure.
Of course, we should also talk about the fire door that kept going back and forth.
Well, I will happily allow you to say that. That is, without a doubt, from a programming standpoint, what we remember from that day.
Yes.
But it just kept opening and making a buzzing noise
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
you never expect
No,
for
but
Midnight
we got it
Madness.
under control, and I can't remember who stood there and let the door keep hitting them in the back the whole night while we were letting the students
Might have been
in,
Vicky
but
Weaver,
I
actually.
think so.
All right. This one's actually, I didn't go to my first Midnight Madness, my freshman year Midnight Madness. It's true. I didn't even know about it. I was that disengaged student. But by the second year, I was in it to win it. And my second year's Midnight Madness was Lights, Camera, Maction. And this was the Hollywood-themed Midnight Madness. We've seen a lot of Hollywood-themed events in general over the years here at Rider. But that one, I think we both probably have a similar recollection of what is the most memorable aspect of that one.
I loved the spotlights that were out on campus.
That's exactly
we had
what I was
the
gonna
two
say.
spotlights going back and forth on campus, and we had people coming onto campus like, what are those lights? What are
Yeah.
those lights? And just all the cutouts that we had in here. And actually, I know the one thing that our basketball teams loved was the red carpet that we
Yeah.
created, the velvet ropes with the red carpets, and then we created the Walk of Fame, where each one of
Yeah.
our basketball players had their own star, like on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Absolutely.
And we gave them all to them afterwards. They kept them in their locker rooms and things. So there were such neat little creative touches that the
Yep.
students came up with for that one. It was kind of amazing. And I think Carson might have been the one who came up with the Lights, Camera, Maction, and
Yeah.
he was so proud of himself for that catchy little phrase.
Yeah. Well, actually, I remember two things in particular about that one. One, it was a very rainy night. It was miserable outside, but everyone saw the spotlights from '95. But I also remember Jim Collins outside, as the security, right? And then other students with loud microphones or megaphones, kind of going through doing Joan Rivers-esque commentary of people waiting in line.
That's right.
So actually, you mentioned Carson earlier. Carson Langenfelder was last week's guest, and we actually talked about this one, which I'm about to show you, which was Macaritaville. And this was from 2005. I have to be honest with you. this one does not stand out in my mind, other than as he and I talked about last week, the fountain in the middle. Do you have any memories of this one?
I have significant memories of that fountain because I never thought it was going to get done. And
Okay.
I remember being so pleasantly surprised when Fabian
Yeah.
brought that thing in here, and it was a real working fountain with the champagne glasses and everything else. I also remember that was the year that we were in the kits from HE Double
hockey.
Toothpicks in the gym. We had
Yeah.
about 20 different kits, and each one of these kits, needs about 10 people and
Yeah.
4 hours per person, and we were doing all of these kits in there, and that was just
A
a
giant
nightmare.
pair of pink sunglasses.
A
and-
volcano.
Yeah. I don't know. All
Tiki
right.
huts.
Yes, we have a couple more. This one from 2007. This is Bronx Gone Wild. It was a zoo theme, which I have to be honest with you. I've been here now. This is my 8th year at Ryder. It wasn't until my 5th year here that I understood the play on words of calling it the Bronx Zoo. And it was only through this committee when we were sitting there. And I went, I don't understand why we called it the Bronx Zoo. I thought it was an insinuation that we were just a tough, like, motley crowd. No, there's something called the Bronx Zoo.
Do you understand what zoo crew means then on the back of the shirts that we have?
No.
Okay. Well, it's the Bronx Zoo as a play on words of the Bronx, Bronx
Uh-huh.
Zoo. So
Okay.
it gets wild and crazy during
Like a zoo-
basketball games. So it's like
Oh.
a zoo atmosphere. And so all the kids, the students that work as ushers
Yeah.
and that work the games, they all have zookeeper shirts on, like
know,
zoo crew.
I
It's amazing these things that you find out. You've been here for like
I
10
know.
years and you
Yeah.
didn't even know that this is the Bronx Zoo.
It's some things my mind is already too consumed with. Rihanna, Madonna, these kind of exciting things. 90210, which
Oh,
are you still
absolutely.
watching it?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to talk about that
Yeah.
afterwards. All right. This one, actually, this is one of my personal favorites as well. This one is 2008's Medieval Macness. Now, this was the one that we really, for the first time ever, extended it into the campus mall out there, where there was a real pre-Macness with the old medieval tents and everything like that. Inside, we had this whole lobby area was decorated in castles, and then inside we had a pretty elaborate entrance. Do you remember anything about that one?
That was the first one where we really did a theatrical start to the show.
Yeah.
We had, part of Jamil, when he comes out, he always does some type of an open, but we said, you know what, we're going to let the emerging leaders do an open this
Yeah.
year. And they did a sword in the stone type of thing,
Yep.
and they incorporated all the other MAC schools and their mascots, and of course, none of them could
Yeah.
pull the sword out of the stone, but then here comes the Bronx with
Yep.
his crown and his cape and everything, and he's, victorious and pulls it out. And it was just such an amazing, just the theatrics of it and what they
Absolutely.
did was just great.
Yeah.
But you know what my favorite part was? The tent that you created out front.
Yeah,
You
it was
created like the
great.
royal
Yep.
tent off the front, and I just
Yeah.
loved all the decorations and the colors that they brought in.
Yep. This year we have a circusy tent out there, but as we see the wind whipping back and forth, maybe it'll calm down enough to decorate that up a little bit. And we come full circle to the present. Now, we won't spend much time on this one because it was not Macness, but Cranberry and White Night last year, which is where Macness pretty much came from originally. This was the substitute event for last year. Kind of scaled everyone's expectations back a little bit in terms of leading us to tonight. And that's where we are at, is in the present, is a creation by Buddy Lasavio, which is the Midnight Macness poster we have here, standing here. I think it's a great poster for the first time, I think, since of all these that Mike Scott did not actually do. I think it's going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, there's two things I was excited for today, and it was such a toss-up. One was this show,
Yeah.
or Midnight Macness.
Yeah.
And I'm a big college basketball fan. Obviously, I mean, I love so many sports, but this is just such a great time of
Yeah,
year.
it
You've
is.
got so many sports going on,
Yeah.
and to signify the start of it and the way that the Rider community just embraces this tradition. I mean, this is one of the biggest traditions on campus.
Without question.
And to the uproar that we heard last year from the
Yep.
students when they were like, oh my gosh, we're not having Midnight Macness, really made you understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
So it was great that we could bring it back this year, and just kudos to Buddy for the design elements that
Yeah.
he did, not having any clue what this event is.
Yeah.
We go to him, we're like, yeah, Buddy, we're doing a circus theme. Can you come up with something? And he just did a fantastic job as
Yep,
well.
absolutely. Sticking in terms of these great moments, you've seen a lot of great moments in general here at Rider in terms of Rider athletics. What stands out to you maybe as, apart from Midnight Macness, some of the other great moments that you've seen here?
Okay, well, I have to be politically correct because I spent the last couple days trying to think of 5 top moments. And
Yeah.
I said, you know what, if I do
I didn't
that-
prep you or anything.
No, no, just on that.
Yeah.
If I do that, I am going to single out somebody, or I'm going to leave somebody out
Sure.
that's going to be very upset. So I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to start with number two, and these are in order. I'm going to start with number two. Number two is definitely when the field hockey team beat Lock Haven in overtime last year
Yeah.
to win the regular season title for the Northeast Conference. Now, you have to understand that Lock Haven, when they came into the league, they're a Division III school. The only sport they play for Division I is field hockey, and they're fully funded. And so for the last 5 years or so of being in the league, they won every
Yep.
single year. No one had beaten them. And we played them on, I think, the Princeton Day School field, the turf field up the street. And it was a cold, blustery day.
Yep.
And it was just such a hard-fought battle by these two teams. And then in the end, we won in overtime. And it was like probably one of the greatest moments that I've seen in a Rider Sports
that's incredible.
event. And I was so proud of those girls because they never gave up. Nobody really thought, they'd beat them. I mean, both teams were undefeated in the league going in. It was the last game of the year, going down to decide who could host the conference tournament, and they beat them in
And they did
overtime,
it.
and it was amazing.
And
so.
they did it. And then number one.
Number one is by far Jason Thompson's draft night, and this is actually a photo of me with Jason at his draft party on the night he was drafted.
Yeah.
And of course, when he came back to Rider, he signed it, he autographed it for me, but. It was such an amazing night, and we knew Jason was going to be drafted at some point. We didn't know when. We heard, late first round, maybe second round.
Yeah.
We had a huge party down at Champs in Mount Laurel in
remember.
his hometown, and we had a private room, bunch of TVs set up, and we're all kind of sitting there. The draft starts at about 8 o'clock, and about 8:15 or so, nobody's really paying attention yet because
Yeah.
they're only into about the first 10 or 11 picks, and
Yeah.
we were like, oh, Jason's going to be a lot later. So Tommy Dempsey and I are kind of sitting there by a TV, and they said, David Stern gets up there and says, with the 12th pick in the 2008 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Jason Thompson. And Tommy and I just were like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
then everybody's like, what? And then they realized when they put Jason's picture up on the TV that he had been selected.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I mean, he was at his house. With his parents and some close family members, and then he came over to Champs and was there to greet everybody, and it was
Yeah.
just so amazing to realize like this is a kid I've known since he was 18.
Yep.
I'd seen him work for 4 years and work just so hard, and to be there and be part of his dream coming true was just
Yeah.
such an amazing moment, and not just for me, like just for the Rider community, for his
Yeah.
coaches, his teammates, everybody. It was really amazing.
And I still remember the explosion of Facebook status updates. And I wasn't watching the draft that year. I'm not very keen on really understanding a lot of those kind of things. I just kind of go with what everyone tells me, like, oh, that's where you should be happy. So I was pumped. But then, of course, I knew the importance and magnitude of this. I just remember the real explosion of that. It was a really, really powerful moment, an exciting moment.
It was also great when he came back that next January and we retired his jersey,
Yeah.
which now hangs in Alumni Gym. And even though the students weren't here, we publicized it to them well ahead of time.
Sure.
The game was January 4th. They're on winter break, but so many students came back just to welcome him
Yeah.
back to campus.
I remember that. So, but there's one other great moment that I recall that really involves you that it doesn't have anything to do with Rider Athletics, and it was when you hosted Live with Alpha Psi in 2007.
Yes.
What do you think about that memory? Because I remember you in a wedding dress, if I remember correctly, or was it?
Oh, no, I was the fairy godmother
Oh,
at
well,
one
it was
point.
a dress of some kind.
Yeah, it was a ball gown. That was an amazing, amazing experience. And I was really so honored and touched that Alpha Psi picked me to be the host of it.
Yeah.
I'm not very theatrical or comedic. Sometimes people just, I don't know,
Yeah.
think I'm funny sometimes because I say random things. But it was amazing. I had to do my own monologue, which, of course, I still hear people talking about because
Yeah.
my monologue was about trying to find my perfect mate on Match.com. And in the end, it turns out to be the Bronc. And
Yeah.
it was, it got quite a few laughs, but it really tested me in terms of trying to act and to be theatrical and really just give so much credit to
Yeah.
the individuals in that group because they really taught me a lot and they put
Yeah.
so much work into it, and it was a fantastic experience, probably one of my
Definitely.
favorite experiences.
Definitely. And we're going to wrap up with some rapid fire questions for you, okay?
no.
Now, these you have not been prepped on. So I just
No.
want the first one that comes to mind. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Karen Torsha's favorite restaurant.
Oishi in Newtown.
Okay. Your favorite sports team.
Oh, Washington Redskins. Wait, well, professional Washington Redskins, but college is West Virginia basketball and West Virginia football.
Okay. If West Virginia played Rider, who would you root for?
I gotta go with my alma mater. I'm sorry.
Ah.
Sorry.
Karen.
I can't help it. Ryder pays my paycheck, but I'm
Yeah.
old gold and blue to my
Fair enough.
guy.
Favorite campus tradition.
Midnight Madness.
Okay. Favorite candy.
Oh, Twizzlers, easily.
Okay. Favorite song?
Favorite song? Oh, that's got to be, right now, it's Holding You Down by Jasmine Sullivan.
Okay. You're leaning over a cliff, and in one hand you have me, and the other hand you have Carson Langenfelder. Who do you save?
Well, I have to save you because if I ever want to be back on real time again,
There you
there's
go.
no question. I mean, and Carson, love you to death, but
Yeah.
Nick hosts this show. When you get your own show, then I'll save you.
Some things take precedence. And what would you say, Karen Torsh's future?
Wow. Hopefully I'll be running my own athletic department someday. No offense
Okay.
to my boss, Don Harnum, who, he's prepped me well, I think. He'll eventually let me spread my wings and fly away.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Karen, that's all I have for you, and that's all we have for everyone this week on Rider Real Time. Join us next week live from the stage of the fall concert. I almost said spring concert, but no, we're in the fall this year with we're not going to be with Jason Derulo, but we're going to be with the students who planned his event, Nicole Halpin and Zach Braff. Thank you, everybody, and look forward to more exciting things this season. I think we're going to do a Halloween episode, a Thanksgiving episode, and a holiday musical.
Can I be part of that?
Sure. Do you want to sing?
Please, I sang on my cruise ship this summer.
Well, I wasn't
That
going
was
to tell you
all
that.
over Facebook,
But let's
so-
just say Karen doesn't mean the rhythm's going to get you. I'm prepping for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week.